Skylanders, Activision's biggest moneymaker since the dawn of time. It all spawned from Spyro the Dragon, but something else made it huge. But that wasn't the only thing that made it huge. No, that was the toys that you could buy for it. Spyro, Trigger Happy, Gil Grunt, and more all helped grow Skylanders Spyro's Adventure to become the most popular game at the time. But why was the game so popular, and how was it developed?
Let's bring ourselves back to a time of the 90s video game wars. There was the big three: Nintendo, Sega, and Sony. Sega was pretty much failing at the time, but Nintendo and Sony were at each other's throats. Nintendo had Mario with the newly released Super Mario 64, and Sony had Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot was developed by Naughty Dog, with the rights being owned by Universal Interactive Studios.
So after the release of Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation, Universal wanted another big platforming mascot to release on the console. So they went to the new company Insomniac Games and developed Spyro the Dragon. Insomniac and Naughty Dog had a close relationship with each other, helped each other on both games, and we got the release of Spyro the Dragon. Spyro the Dragon became a trilogy of games alongside Crash Bandicoot, and Sony and Universal's contract was over. Now, Spyro and Crash Bandicoot could appear on any console they wanted. The first game to break the tradition of not only being on a Sony platform, but also not being developed by Insomniac Games was Spyro Season of Ice for the Game Boy Advance. The game got average reviews and was kinda the beginning of the mixed era for Spyro.
The next main Spyro game was Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. Oh boy!
Spyro Enter the Dragonfly wasn't received all too hot. It had several bugs, wasn't original, and was just kinda short. This game came to the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube, and the series kinda just became that little kids series that had the same quality as movie tie-in games. It just wasn't the same as the original trilogy. This game was published by Universal Games, with Universal and Vivendi Games having a merger, and making the companies that own it just really complicated and weird. The next main game in the series was Spyro: A Hero's Tale, and it once again had mixed reviews, but apparently it was better than the last one, so I guess that's something. By now, the game was published by Vivendi Universal Games in NTSC regions, and by Sierra Games in PAL regions. Universal had gone through a lot of mergers now, with it also beginning a merger with General Electric, which completely changed the company and how it worked once again.
But Spyro was still in a weird state as they released a reboot of the series called The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning. It wasn't good, but somehow this game became a trilogy, and by the third game, Vivendi Games was scooped out of Universal and taken over to their buddies at Activision, who bought the company. I think that's pretty obvious. And this was happening at around the time Activision was merging with Blizzard to create Activision Blizzard. But every Spyro game was still just mixed. Everything I just said also happened to Crash Bandicoot, by the way.
Toys for Bob, another company that was owned by Activision at the time, was asked to revive one old Vivendi series, and Toys for Bob chose Spyro the Dragon. However, no one thought it would work, so this Spyro game needed to have some sort of gimmick in order for the game to actually sell well. It would probably help if the game was good too. The game went into development as Spyro's Kingdom, a reboot of the Spyro franchise and being a much darker tone than before, as opposed to the last Spyro reboot, which was a much darker tone than before. This Spyro's Kingdom game was developed to be a Wii exclusive, but they slowly began to realize that it should probably be on some more consoles, so the game started to come to every console. Looking at the in-development version of the game, it seems to be some sort of beat-em-up game, which you'll start to notice is exactly what the game ended up being. The game eventually released as Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, with the toys to life being the main gimmick behind the game. The game released on all modern platforms, published by Activision, except for in Japan where it was Square Enix for some unknown reason. And then 2 years after the release, they got an exclusive Wii U version. It's very much just the same game, or at least the Toys for Bob Wii version of the game, but now it's on the Wii U. But the toys, the amount of plastic figures of characters you've never heard of except for Spyro, that's what we're here for. The game came packaged with Spyro, the man of the hour, Trigger Happy, a little gremlin looking guy with 2 golden guns, and Gil Grunt, the water squirting fish. You also get the Portal of Power, your connection between the game and the real world. On the Wii and most other releases of the game, it uses a wireless adapter that allows the portal to be used wherever you want, whereas the Xbox 360 version uses a wired portal.
But that's not all the toys!
32 characters released when the game came out, flooding store shelves. The characters that I own are the following: Cinder, Double Trouble, Drobot, Flameslinger, Lightning Rod, and Zook. Thank God I have Zook. Each of these Skylanders are a part of a different element, with each element unlocking different areas and things within the game. Whether it be a fun little section of the game, or you just being able to be stronger in an area, it gives you a good incentive to buy more and more characters. But you can complete the game with just the 3 that the game comes packaged with, but that's not fun. The game also had magic items and level pieces. Small little Skylander figures that unlock items and levels. Pretty self-explanatory, but you can't forget the variants. There's dark versions of each of the characters, along with little sidekick versions that can help you in the game. The final different versions of characters are the chase versions. They're just like silver versions or like different textures. But no matter the case, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure was out and it sold pretty damn well, like really damn well. Owning so many of these little toys meant it was so cool. The toys, I think, is what pushed Skylanders to the success it is. Because if you actually play the game,
it's not great. It's the pure definition of a kid's game. It just keeps pointing out the damn obvious as if I'm an idiot.
When I originally got the game in 2012, a few months before its sequel came out, I was so excited to get my hands on it. I then decided to finally actually play the game and...
I mean, it was okay.
This was around the time when I was very susceptible to all of the fad games, like the yearly Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, Minecraft, I guess, and Skylanders. That's all I really put my time and energy into. Yeah, I still like Mario and Portal and all of that, but the other things were my highlights and what I always wanted. So every year, at least for the first 3, I played the new Skylanders game. But I'd play less and less of each game to the point where I only really played Swap Force for like less than an hour. But the first Skylanders is what I played the most of, so I can tell you that I originally got to chapter 3 and got very bored. It's very understandable. The game is incredibly repetitive and is honestly quite boring after playing it for more than an hour, but I get it's, you know, it's an interesting concept or whatever. The idea is you, the Portal Master, have control of the Skylanders, which are all the different characters you buy from the store, and you're taking up the great legacy of Eon, the greatest Portal Master of them all, to defeat Chaos, where they spell it weirdly. Chaos destroyed Skylands, where all the Skylanders live, and also Spyro, who's just a guy that Eon reached out to after hearing about his great adventures. You now, alongside the dude from Family Guy and a few others, need to stop Chaos from taking over. You being a Portal Master is a great way to get you into stores to buy more characters, but you can, as I said, complete the game with the original 3 that it came packaged with. You just won't be able to enter these specific areas in the game, and you won't be stronger in some sections.
This game is honestly the ultimate moneymaker, more so than any of the other Toys to Life games, except for Amiibo. Activision knew what they were doing.
Each level is just more of the same. All you do is go toward a goal that the game tells you over and over again, whether it be a character explaining the puzzle to you so you don't have to actually think about what you have to do, or the camera slowly panning to the correct location. And that's it! That's the game! You understood it. Good job. You can get some treasure throughout the game, like funny looking hats that can give you specific stats and the such, but it's really just the same old walk, attack, puzzle, repeat. The game is just so sluggish, it's not funny. Sometimes I think that the game truly thinks I'm an idiot. And the cutscenes, my god, sometimes they just go on forever. On the Wii version, which is the version I'm playing, you can skip them by just spamming the C button. I didn't know that for a lot of my playthrough, so I was pretty much just watching cutscenes 90% of the time, and they take forever because they're treating you like you're 5. There's just so much waiting, and the further and further you get into the game, it just feels like the game is more and more unpolished. It just feels like the game falls apart while you play it. The first boss fight just sucks as well. It's really slow and really easy. And the game just over and over again wants you to sit through the most boring, slow talking sections to actually get on with it.
I want to like this game so badly, I really do, but it's just not fun.
Despite the fact that this game is called Spyro's Adventure, it seems stupid that he's even a part of this game. This game has nothing to do with Spyro. He's just one of the Skylanders, even though he isn't. When I first played this game, I thought that maybe the Skylanders were from some other Spyro game, and then they just became their own franchise, like the Rabbids for Rayman. But no, the Skylanders are just a completely new concept that are kinda just really boring. Skylanders Spyro's Adventure just has nothing I enjoy in it, but that's fine.
This game wasn't for me. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean this game doesn't hold a special place in my heart, and a special place for many others. Skylanders is a franchise that legacy still remains strong due to the great memories that people had with all of the different characters in the series. I may have just spent the last 10 or so minutes complaining about how much I hate the first game, but that doesn't make it any less special. All of these little guys mean so much to so many people. Now more than ever, people are looking at their childhood games and reflecting on what they loved. It just so happens that the people that are currently 18 to 21 that don't have anything else to do, played Skylanders when they were younger. They would walk into the store shelves and see these Skylanders filling the shelves, and they loved it. So no matter the quality of these games, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure has a legacy unlike anything else. It started the Toys to Life revolution in video games, inspiring games like Disney Infinity, Lego Dimensions, and even Amiibo. And all the sequels, man. They were all great too. All of these different unique ideas that each game in the series had, whether it be you can swap the different pieces or give your Skylander a car, each game had its own unique identity, which is more than some of the other yearly games that come out. I'll never forget my time with the Skylanders, even if I didn't like the game that much. The adventures I'd imagine these characters would go on was just so great. I wouldn't have it any other way. So hi, I'm Charlie, I'm back, and thank you, Skylanders. I'm now gonna check out your sequel where you made all the characters really big. I think they already ran out of ideas.